Inspiration, motivation, and encouragement is brewing. Welcome to the Tea Time with Tan podcast, where you experience innovative solutions and creative ideas designed for your colossal dream success. Let's sip. Here's your host, Tan.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Tea Time with Tan podcast show. Listen, I'm so glad that you are here sipping tea with your girl Tan, Kate, your host. Normally, I'm coming from a little sweet city outside of Houston in the great state of Texas, Channel U. But today I'm sitting up in the mountains in Pennsylvania. Let me tell you something. These mountains are beautiful. Beautiful. Whew. And y'all, I'm tired because today I walked these mountains. But okay. Let's get this show on. Wait. I first want to thank our first-time listeners. Thank you so much for checking out Tea Time with Tan. Let's give them a round of applause. That's right. Platform, y'all. Platform. And thank you to our return Tea Time with Tan family. Y'all, we have some exciting news. We are on a new platform this week. Stitcher. Yes. Hello, Stitcher. Hello, Stitcher family. Thank you for welcoming Tea Time to Tan, the podcast show, to your platform. We're excited to be here. Listen, we always start with a 60-second get-it-together moment here at the Tea Time with Tan. That's where we take 60 moments to clear your mind, clear your space, get your Tea Time with Tan journal. Because, most of y'all, I know y'all take notes, because you want to remember the things that you sip on today. So listen, today's show is going to be really good. So go take your 60 seconds, get it together, and then we'll meet back here. And while we're taking those 60 seconds, I want to do some housekeeping rules. I just want to, I say rules, but it's not. It's just things that we just want like to do. And I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to the East Coast. They're listening to Tea Time with Tan. I appreciate you. Thank you to those on the East Coast. Hello. And y'all like to jam my theme song. My brother, super producer Paul Cole. He wrote and produced that. So, hey, bro, thank you. And I want to give a shout out to my Mr. Tate. You guys, he is such a phenomenal support. You guys got to get somebody like him on your team. Somebody that believes in you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with today's episode. You guys know in the month of June, it was all about focus. We took the word focus, we broke it down. The F was for family. The O was for obedience. The C was for consistency. The U was for understanding. And the S was for success. And that's where we're at. That's where we're ending the month of June on, success. So we're going to talk about success today. So take a moment and let's just think about that word. How would you define the word success? I know it's defined in the dictionary, but what does it mean to you? What does it look like to you? Go ahead, jot it down. I'm sure we all came up with different things because success is different things to different people. So here's the first tip I want to give you regarding success. If you are comparing or measuring your success to what someone else's success is, listen, you robbing yourself. Because no two successes are alike. For example, you may measure success this way. Oh, they live in a fancy house. They drive a fancy car. They have fancy jewelry. They are successful. We're not talking about being successful. We're talking about success. Let me tell you, for me, when I look at the word success, I see work. Because when you put in the work, you are a success. By putting in the work, your success will cause you to be successful. And the successful is the material things that you may desire, you may want. But the success comes from you putting in the work. So let's talk about relationships that help us be successful. The first is God. When you put God first, even the word tells us that when you put God first, He'll add everything else unto you. But you got to put in the work. You have to do your part. So let me ask you, are you putting in the work in your relationship with God? Now let's take a look at the word focus, the way we broke it down. Family. Are you putting in the work for your family to be successful? In other words, how is obedience working in your life? What does consistency look like? What's your level of understanding? What's your level of success? See, you have to put in the work. And to put in the work, it requires you being obedient. It requires you being consistent. It requires you being understanding so that you can get to the success. Are you putting in the work? Let me tell you, the work is worth it. The work is worth it. You got to put in the work. Sometimes we do a little work, we get little results. Sometimes we do a lot of work, we get a lot of results. Sometimes we do big work, we may get big results. But a key element to your success is consistency. When you can be consistent in the things that requires your dreams, your visions, your hopes, your desires to come to fruition, you will be successful. Another area regarding success I want to talk about is your mind, your heart. See, remember we talked about the individuals who were driving the fancy car, living in the fancy house, having the fancy jewelry, wearing the designer clothes. We may think that they are successful, that they are a success. But sometimes when you take a closer look, people are broken. They're not happy. They're depressed. They are oppressed. They have addictions. They are broken. So when I talk about putting in the work, success begins with your total wholeness, your total wellness. So yes, life has a way of handing us things. Grief shows up. Divorce shows up. Death shows up. Unemployment shows up. But when you are at a place of mental wellness, emotional wellness, you know how to deal and handle those obstacles, those challenges. And even if it requires you seeking help, everyone knows I'm an advocate for getting help. I'm an advocate for counseling. I'm an advocate for therapy. Even if it requires medication. I'm an advocate for you having mental wellness and wholeness, emotional health and wellness. Got a little tongue-tied there. It's important to you being a success, because here is the real deal. If you are not a success, it's going to be hard for you to become successful. It's going to be hard for you to pour in to various relationships so that they become successful. It's going to be hard for you to forgive, for you to understand, for you to be consistent, for you to be obedient, for you to be that family member you need to be. So I want you to step back. Don't define your success by the materialistic things that you have. Define your success by how you respond to challenges that you encounter. That's what success looks like. Success is putting in the work, having the ability to deal so that you can heal. And once you can deal so that you can heal, once you remember to put God first, everything else will fall in place. Oftentimes we get so caught up in our careers that we leave our families behind. Or we get so caught up in our families when our families move on, whether it's through them, our children growing up and moving out, I think it's called empty nest syndrome, or through death, we become lost. Because somewhere down the way, we forgot about us. So here's what I want you to get from this episode. Success means taking care of you. Emotionally, physically, mentally, financially. Everything that's going to add value to who you are spiritually. You got to begin to look at yourself. What do you see when you see yourself? I'm not talking about how we make up and, we put on a wig or we put on our fancy clothes and we become cute. I'm talking about on the inside. When you shed everything, what do you see? What do you see? If you don't see the things that you desire to see, it's time for you to make changes. You have to be the change that you want to see. You got to begin to treat yourself like you want other people to treat you. Yes, it's easy to talk about this is tools and resources, things to help you become successful in the product of your brand. But remember, you are the brand. You are the brand, regardless to what your small business product is, regardless to what your business venture is, regardless to what type of career you have. You are the brand. Your success starts with you. You got to treat yourself the way you want other people to treat you. You have to stop beating yourself up. And when I talk about beating yourself up, I'm talking about with words. Sometimes the last person that we are obedient to is ourselves. We talked about that earlier when we covered the obedient piece of focus. You need to be obedient to yourself. You need to listen to yourself. You need to take better care of yourself. We always say, well, he won't listen to me. She won't listen to me. Hey, are you listening to you? So here's a recap. For us, success is about you, not about the things that you accomplish. It's about you, your total well-being. It's about putting God first. It's about not comparing yourself to others.